All right, Dan. Well, the theme coming off this weekend for the Red Sox is it was a tough go for this team at the major league level. In the minor leagues, a lot more positive. But we're going to hit on both of those things here in our Red Sox talk today. But let's start with the team at the major league level. This was a tough weekend against the Astros because they get swept. They get outscored 22-7 since the top of the seventh inning on Friday. And now you look at this team and where it's at, and you get concerned about where this season could be heading.
Yeah, and you just, again, timing has been bad for a lot of things. Lucas Sims has his blow up, and it just, they were in two games there, right, on Friday and Saturday, Joe, and then just the timing of the pitching staff is just not working out. The starters have really struggled since the All-Star break, so everything is kind of going wrong here, and things are spinning out of control. So the question now is, between now and when they get everybody healthy, or at least more guys healthy and starters healthy, can they get it going again? They need Tanner Houck. They need Brian Bayo. They need Cutter Crawford to really kind of just not even like become lights out again, but just give them 5, 6, 7 innings so that the bullpen can rest a little bit, get up the arms a little bit because Martin's back, and you hope things can work out there and not overuse Kenley Jansen. So there's all kinds of things that need to happen now, Joe, and it's all pitching in my mind. They need to get it right in a hurry because of how difficult the schedule is and because of where they are in the season.
And you're certainly right about needing to get the pitching right in a hurry because since the All-Star break, this team has the worst ERA in Major League Baseball. It's over 6. They're allowing the most home runs per 9, and it's both the starters and relievers. So it's not just one part of the pitching staff. It's really all parts of it. And, Dan, they get dealt such a tough blow on Sunday because they go with a bullpen game on Saturday. They needed to because they skipped Nick Pavetta's turn in the rotation. And then James Paxton, who they just acquired at the trade deadline, he ends up having to leave the game in the first inning with a right calf strain. And this just really does put a strain on everything as it's related to the pitching staff.
Yeah, and again, I go back to they need innings out of Bayo, Crawford, Houck, and even like when Cooper Criswell comes off the COVID list, that bad timing with him, they need some guys to step up here, Joe, and just give them innings. And if I'm the Red Sox, they were one of the teams that had scouted Rich Hill out of Milton. We all know he's 44 years old, but I'd take a flyer on him. I'd put him in the Woo Sox, give him one start or what have you, just see how he looks. He can give you 5 innings, right, because of the stuff that he throws. So I'm looking anywhere and any way I can find pitching, right, because Quinn Priester's not ready yet, so he looks more of a project. So they've got a lot of things cooking here, but they just need it all to come together on the big league level. And having Paxton go down was a huge blow for them. And anyone that's dealt with a calf strain, it knows that it's going to take a while, and he may not return until late September, if that, or midway through September. So that hurts certainly. But again, I go back to all what I was saying. They need innings out of their starters. That's what it comes down to, and just good outings. Brian Bayos, he can start it coming off the paternity list against Texas tonight. That helps everybody, right? That rests the bullpen. And they'll probably bring up arms from Worcester and everybody to help because they were taxed over the weekend and then Paxton's injury yesterday. But they just need to get 5, 6 innings out of their starters, and then everything will fall into line in the bullpen and then right themselves. That's what they want to do because there's still plenty of time to go here. Despite how bad it looks, there's still plenty of time to go here in the season.
There still is, right? And they can get things right starting off with this 3-game set against the Texas Rangers, which is the lone team below 500 in a really tough stretch coming up because they go at Baltimore, at Houston, and then they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks before finally getting a breather against another below 500 team in the Toronto Blue Jays. But just to add to what was a tough day at Fenway yesterday, again, all at the major league level with them getting blown out by the Astros. Then this story breaks late at night yesterday that Jarren Duran ended up shouting a homophobic slur at a fan. As the story goes, and you could hear the audio, it was put out there on social media that a fan was yelling, tennis racket, you need a tennis racket. And then he ends up yelling back at him, shut up, using a homophobic slur. he did put a statement out saying, during tonight's game, I used a truly horrific word when responding to a fan. I feel awful knowing how many people I offended and disappointed. I apologize to the entire Red Sox organization, but more importantly, to the entire LGBTQ community. Our young fans are supposed to be able to look up to me as a role model, but tonight I fell short of that responsibility. I will use this opportunity to educate myself and my teammates to grow as a person. And the Red Sox also put out a statement as well saying, we echo Jarren's apology to our fans, especially the LGBT community, and added more after that. I mean, this is from a PR standpoint. It obviously looks awful from the Red Sox perspective because Jarren Duran has become the face of this organization. And you just can't have that, especially in today's day and age, but really in any day and age, saying something like that.
Yeah, it's you sit there and say, well, ball players say dumb things. Every human being say dumb things, right? Not every single day. And a guy that has become the face of your franchise, it's pretty simple for anybody. What are you doing? Just stop. It's just, he didn't think, said it, reacted. He was angry. We've heard of fans heckling players, what have you, but there's no place in society for that at any point, anytime, anywhere. So, he apologized. The Red Sox backed him up on the apology. Jarren Duran has, really no track record of having any issues or things like that when it comes to the fans and from what he said. So for me, it's like simply apologize, what you did. Red Sox back him up, what you did, and just again, an idiot thing to say. Move on, like stop. Okay, I think when you look at it in the picture of where we are in society, it was a stupid thing to say. And he apologized, and everybody just move on from it. And again, I feel, I don't feel bad for him because it was a stupid thing to say. But anybody who says something in the society of something like that, there's no place for it. Put it that way.
Yeah, just have to be smarter than that. And you're right. You just can't say stuff. At no point you can ever say anything like that. And it's
a grow up opportunity for Duran, right?
Right. And I think that, and hopefully in the long run, that's the moment where, again, he continues to grow. We've seen him mature a lot as a person in his time with Boston, but this is now another step, obviously. And again, that stuff just can't happen. We'll end on a positive note here, Dan. The big three reportedly being called up to AAA Worcester from AA Portland. This is according to the Globe's Alex Spear, and Alex Cora talked about it after the game. It just hasn't, as we're recording this, been officially announced by the Red Sox, although it will likely be done very soon. I do want to say, though, this is a really exciting moment for the Red Sox and their organization with Marcelo Mayer, Kyle Teel, and Roman Anthony finally making the jump to AAA. These guys have had so much pressure on them, Dan. The expectations are so high for these three players, and yet they've met them this year, and now they're one step away from the majors.
Yeah, and I think as you say that, too, with the expectations and the pressure, I think it's kind of cool that they came up as a trio.
Yeah.
Right? So they have each other to bounce that pressure off, right? When you look at what they're trying to accomplish and what the Red Sox organization is trying to accomplish, this is finally the future getting one step closer to the present. And I think that's what Red Sox fans have been waiting for. And I think everybody's waiting for it. I think Alex Cora is excited about it now that he signed his extension. I think Craig Breslow's excited about it. And, Chaim Bloom was, part of the development of this whole process too. So for me, it's kind of like a good stamp on the organization to say, this is where we are. This is where we're headed. And it's good for everybody. And then the fans in Worcester will get a chance to see Marcelo Mayer, Kyle Teel, and Roman Anthony with the three big prospects. So I think it's a win-win for everybody here, Joe. And I do think, and I know I listened to your post-game show yesterday on WEEI, and I know that there's some fans are saying, well, what are you celebrating this for? It's, they lost the game 10-2, blah, 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 blah. No, stop for a second, right? Think big picture. It's a pretty monumental moment for this organization from what they're trying to accomplish. And every time we've seen that, right? We started with Mookie Betts and Bogarts and those guys, when they all came up, there's an excitement. There's a genuine feeling. And I think this is the beginning of it now. Hopefully the entire organization takes this, embraces it, and goes to match guys that we've seen on the big league level develop too, which has been fun to watch. A guy like Willie Abreu and Cedar Rafaela. And we were talking the other day at Fenway, Rafaela, have you ever seen in the history of the game a player basically split time evenly between shortstop and center field, two of the toughest positions to play defensively, and do it well at both positions? You just never see that. So he's a special player. So all these guys coming up, put them all together, Joe, and I think you're talking about a bright future for this Red Sox organization. So it's a pretty cool time to celebrate.
Yeah, the present The season at this moment, as we record this, looking bleak. We'll see how it trends after the series against the Rangers. But as you just said, the future looking bright for the Red Sox with these three guys one step closer. It's going to be exciting to see them at Polar Park, and it makes for our commute to go and see them a little bit easier here in Boston. So we'll take that as well.
Right, and you think about it, Joe, too, is now why was Craig Breslow brought into the Red Sox organization? And the one thing that Tom Werner and John Henry said was to develop pitching, right? So if they can, start to find and develop that pitching to match what we're seeing with all these legitimate positional prospects, that is even more exciting. So good things, I think, ahead for this Red Sox organization. And, turn their frown upside down. They're battling. They're going to go through the tough moments. They'll get through it, but don't count this team out. We've seen all year long just how tough they can be mentally. So still hang in there when it comes to the regular team, too.
All right, well, whether he's at the sports desk, whether he's out in the field or in his own car, Dan Roche always bringing the goods here for the Red Sox, for Red Sox Talk. Dan, appreciate the time as always.
Always a pleasure, Joe.